Welcome back to the Spiritual AI podcast. I'm your host, Leonie Branson. And yes, if that sounds a little bit different to you, it is because I'm in the process of changing my name, but I'll leave that for another podcast. With me today, I've got a beautiful soul, and she's actually here in Perth with me. So I'm super excited about this. I've got Sonja Pototzki-Raymond with me. She's known as Sonja the Search Queen. She's a best-selling author, award-winning businesswoman, and Google search expert. She is the CEO and founder of the Search Republic, one of Australia's leading Google-accredited agencies, which has generated over 700 million in client sales. Her book, The Search for Resilience, became an Amazon #1 bestseller, and she shares her powerful 4-year fertility journey and the lessons it taught her about strength and courage. With 20 years in the global marketing, the experience working with brands like Guinness, Nestle, and L'Oreal, Sonja is passionate about ethical growth, purpose-led business, and empowering women to rise with confidence. Welcome to the podcast, Sonja.
Thank you for having me, Leonie. It's a pleasure to be here. We've been following each other for a while, so thank you so much for the invite to be on the potty.
I'm super excited to have you on.
Mm.
Now, I like to kind of flow, and usually I start with just a question to see who is Sonja? Where does Sonja come from? So perhaps just give us a little bit of background of who Sonja is and how you kind of got to this point. And then I want to dive into your story a little bit about your journey with your beautiful girls and how you got there.
Absolutely. So you can tell from my accent, I'm Irish. So I moved over to Australia 12 years ago. Um, and for me, Australia was somewhere I always knew I needed to come, but was never quite ready. So I knew from probably around the age of 16 I needed to be here, but it just never felt like the right time because I knew deep down intuitively that when I came to Australia, I wasn't going to be going home. So I needed to make sure I was mature enough that I wouldn't screw up the opportunity of being in the country. So it took me 10 years to get here, and I arrived when I was 26. And yeah, I haven't looked back, but I come from a small town in Ireland called Tralee, County Kerry. And I just found in my earlier years, in childhood, I always felt misaligned in where I grew up. I just never felt really settled, I suppose, in a way. And then I moved from my own hometown. I went to study my degree and my master's in marketing. So I left my hometown when I was 18. So I'm gone like 21 years from my own hometown now. So I'm gone a long time. And then did my degree, did the master's, and then moved to Dublin, worked in agency land there, and moved to Cork then after that for another 2 years. And then came to Australia and met my now husband, even though I've known him since I'm like 12 years old. I met him in Australia. We got together in Australia, but I've known him all my life. Like it's mad. I speak about all that in the book. Yeah, and now we have two beautiful girls. Took us a long time to have our girls. And I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And by far of all my achievements, the greatest achievement I have to date is to be a proud mom to Sage and Willow. They are everything to me. Um, yeah, is that everything that is? Would you like to know more?
Yes. Yeah, no, that's beautiful. I know that we go through this big journey. So it's actually quite a big question, where do you come from? So there's
I
so
know.
much we can talk about. But yeah, that's perfect. So I would love for you to share a little bit about, so first of all, let me just say, I did get your book. I've got your book here, and I've also got it
Oh,
um,
well.
on Audible. Yes. So I've been kind of listening and reading and kind of making
Thanks for
notes
your
and things.
support, by the way. Like, because when people buy your book, I don't think people realize just how crucial that is for first-time authors. So I just want to say thank you so much for your support on that because, like,
Yeah.
the book doesn't sell itself, it's
No, it
having
doesn't.
people like
Yeah.
yourselves, that support first-time authors. It's everything. So I feel really honored. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And I've not gotten through the whole book. I think I'm on chapter 8, but you speak so much truth and so much wisdom in there. And I love how you have kind of woven your personal journey with obviously with fertility and your relationship through in with the business. So we can kind of talk about both of those. But you said something, and there's a quote. You said moments of despair become seeds for resilience, or are
Yep.
seeds for resilience. I'm kind of that I'm kind of I'm not quoting correctly, but it's like those moments of
Yeah.
despair. So those moments of disappointment, the troubles and tribulations and the stuff that we go through are
Mm.
actually seeds for resilience. And I think that was just such a beautiful way of putting it. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah. And that's so true though, like, because it's the way I see it too. Like, I don't really find life very hard anymore because I stopped trying to figure things out myself and I just surrendered to what the universe was trying to show me. And
Yeah.
I don't know, like, people that may not know me, people that don't know me, one thing I want to say is I'm very, very, very intuitive. I'm very conscious. I'm very self-aware. I'm very like I know what's happening in the world, and I'm like people tend to come to me be like pick my brain on everything. But what I do know to be true is that we are humans having a spiritual experience, and I feel like at this point in time in humanity, we've definitely lost that spiritual side of ourselves. And I feel that has a lot to do with social media because it's like, instant gratification. We want things yesterday and we're comparing ourselves to everybody else. But our true power lies is when we look within ourselves because our power internally is more powerful than anything outside of yourself. And when I was
Yeah.
going through the depths of despair with fertility, because really I might actually just probably go there and take the people on
Yeah,
the
go
journey, is
for it.
that we found
Yeah.
out in March 2019 that the road to having our babies was just going to be very difficult. And oh, it crumbled me. Like it really did, because everything I've ever wanted in life was to be a mom. So that was
Mm,
6 months into our marriage. And then we went on a 3-year fertility journey, full with so many setbacks and disappointments and failed IUI cycles and miscarriage. Our first embryo transfer, we did get our eggs collected and then had our first embryo, was pregnant and then lost that. And then our second embryo was Sage, and Sage was born on the 22nd of July, 2022. But all I can say, and Willow was born the 16th of August, 2024, which was last year. So I have a 3-year old
wow.
and a 1-year old. But one thing I will say is that going through fertility, if I had my way to not to have avoided it, would I? And the answer is no, because the person that I've actually become in the process is a person I'm very proud to be. I've been
Yeah.
able to own all parts of myself through that really traumatic time, because
Mm,
when all you ever know is that having babies is easy, and that's what we grew up in society, thinking that everybody's entitled to be a mom, and that's just not the case. But when
yeah.
you go through that deep shadow soul work and you identify the darkness that's holding you back in life, and if you kind of just have to follow the breadcrumbs. And what I found to be true is the magic on the other side of going through those tunnels of darkness and the dark night of the soul. That's that was tremendous. That was a tremendous journey, but a journey of spiritual awakening to my true expression of myself. And like that doesn't shrink to make others feel okay. Like I'm very much individual and I very much don't follow the crowd. I'm
Mm,
very untangled from your everyday system. Like I
yeah.
have my foot in both camps, because we all kind of have to. But, you know, the role model that I feel like I am for my girls, because of the journey, is everything. Because, through that journey, I've had to unlearn a lot of childhood trauma and conditioning
Yeah.
that is imposed upon us from generations. And the journey of going on my own self-healing journey, like I use so many different modalities. But the one thing that I found was completely profound was psychedelics. I discovered psychedelics in a healing
Mm,
setting in 2020.
yeah.
And that for me has been the ultimate game changer, because now I do psychedelics every 6 months, really, to keep myself tuned up and back into the main essence of why I'm here and what I'm here to do. And it's just interesting how society regards it as a drug, but it's like it's
Yeah.
not. It actually can alter people's consciousness and get them to see the other side that no pill or that big pharma will ever give to a
Yeah.
person. They will never be able to see it. Whereas this actually treats the root cause if you're
Yeah.
willing to face the shadow. And a full disclaimer, I don't recommend anyone does psychedelics unless they really want to deal with their stuff because
Yeah.
the shadows that you see, it's very, very confronting, really
Yeah.
tough. But
We
best thing
yeah,
ever.
so it is absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely a big disclaimer there. Obviously, don't go off and do it by yourself. First of all,
Mhm.
find a practitioner who
Healing practitioner.
is, yeah, who has
Very
been
well
working
trained.
with it for a long time, so that you can
Absolutely.
do it in a space where they can support you. I I'm just going to go down this rabbit hole with you.
Please
I
do.
have done absolutely. I've been doing psychedelic work for 5 years, 6 years now. And I 100% agree with you. It will take you into the darkest places, but it will shine big light there and you'll come out feeling amazing. So I want to take us back just a little bit when you
Mhm.
said that, you were talking about you being intuitive
Mhm.
and, talk about self-awareness and how
Mhm.
society has taken us away from it. And
Mhm.
you are so speaking my language. That is everything what my brand is about. My book, Spiritual AI, is about awareness and intuition, right? It is
Mhm.
about us being taken away from it and how awareness and intuition are the two most important senses that you can ever start with. Because if you don't have self awareness, you don't have awareness, and you're not guided by your intuition, you kind of end up on the wheel, right? You just, the hamster wheel, it's the
Mhm.
same stuff over and over and over. It's only when you bring awareness and intuition into the picture that things start falling into place and you can actually start seeing things. So, obviously you live and breathe that, and your experience is that you have developed self-awareness and intuition along the way. So, how important would you say is that
It's everything.
on this journey, especially for resilience and also then in business?
Um, the- where this all started for me was I was always very intuitive, but at school, somewhere along the way, we learn how to trust our own intuition, and we give away our power to teachers, that we give away our
Mm,
power to friend groups and all
yeah,
those things, and we start comparing ourselves to others, and we try to want to fit in because at school everyone fits in because we're all dressed the same, aren't we? So
yeah,
like when you stand out like a sore thumb, it's kind of like almost seen as a crime. So
yeah,
I feel that all of this stuff that's happening in the world and how we're brought up in society is intentional to keep us not accessing our true power. It's to keep everybody
yeah,
asleep and keep the masses asleep.
yeah,
Because when the masses are asleep, they can be controlled. And
mm,
where I come from and what I know to be true and knowing what it's like to have seen all parts of that in the spiritual experience when I've done all of my own trips, I do know that one thing that is undeniable is our energy and the way we can show up in life and the fact that we have a choice as well. I feel like people give up very easily on things and they very much accept what the government is telling them or accept what schooling is telling them. And we
yeah,
very rarely stop and think for ourselves. And that's where the self-awareness it comes back to that and the intuition around that as well. Like for me, COVID was a mass because this is obviously we were in the depths of fertility as well at that
mm,
point. So I was really doing a lot of the healing work in tandem when COVID was really full force across the world. And
mm,
one thing that I get very, very strong signs on things. And if I don't actually follow what my gut tells me,
yeah,
I'll always end up in the on the wrong side of what I was meant to do because I didn't listen to my gut.
yeah,
So it's your gut is your inner knowing about what your soul is telling you is of your highest good. And there's been so many times in my life where I have ignored my gut. And by ignoring my gut, I've ended up on my ass, and
yeah,
I've always had to end up learning things the hard lesson. But what I've learned through my fertility journey is learning how to dance with the universe and actually pay attention to the signs because
Mm.
when you don't pay attention to the signs, you're going to get a sledgehammer over the head if you don't pay attention.
Yeah.
And so few people, I feel, give away so much of their power by comparing themselves on social media, scrolling, constant feeling not worthy, not good enough. But they're being programmed to feel that way since they're children, because
Mm.
that is what schooling is about. It's to develop a nation of workers, not critical thinkers,
Yeah.
because people don't realize how powerful we are as a race. We
Yeah.
think that we're just existing, and we're like, no, it's an absolute fucking miracle that we're even here.
Mm.
And dumbing ourselves down and giving away our power is the biggest insult to humanity, because that is why we need to be controlled, or they're trying to control us, is because we are so fucking powerful if we all learned how to be critical thinkers. And sorry, I go on big tangents. I could be here.
I
Rein me in if you
love
need to.
this conversation. Love it.
Oh, but I just feel like that the beauty that comes with coming back home to yourself and realizing that every relationship in your life is a reflection on the relationship you have with yourself.
Mm.
Like, the relationship you have with yourself is more important than the relationship you have with your children. And that might be very confronting for your average person to hear that, because they're not taught that. You
Mm.
know, like, it is so, so important to put on our own oxygen mask first so we have more to give to others. We can't give
Yeah.
from an empty cup, and we can't give from half a person. Like, we need to be in the full expression of ourselves. And all I can say to you, the gifts that's been given to me when I met when I met peace and healed my own trauma, the Sonja on the other side is somebody I'm very proud to be.
Mm.
And I would love and invite anyone that's listening to consider, what if that everything we've ever known is not reality, and it's been presented to us
Yeah.
to alter how we're meant to think,
Yeah.
because we are in a very, very interesting time. And I know you follow me as well. I'm very open about the whole COVID-19 thing and digital
Mm.
ID and the government kind of trying to control. And I'm not in any way, shape, or form, um, how do I say, one of these people that goes against the grain. I just feel like intuitively, my inner knowing, and knowing that we're in the dawn of the age of Aquarius, which is a time calling for mass awakening. It is
Mm.
this time that if people are finding life very fucking hard, it's because they're not paying attention to the lessons that their conscience is trying to show them, and the universe is trying to show them, to step into the full
Yeah.
expressions of themselves. And I just feel that I'm a bit worried in terms of the state of the world, and it's not really a very easy world to bring kids up in. And I worry about their future, because all of the things that are happening in the world at the moment,
Mm.
specifically around the control, around digital ID and all this
Yeah.
stuff, like, that's where we lose all our freedom.
Yeah.
If we say yes to that, that's like, what was the point in all of our ancestors fighting for freedom all these
Mm.
years? But what I feel is that people are expecting World War III to look like how World War II and World War I was, where people were actually fighting against each other with guns and that.
Not. It's very
But that's
different.
not what's happening. We're
Yeah.
in a spiritual war that people need to reclaim their own spiritual power and not give it away to these big tech companies, and give away our right for freedom. And I just believe heartedly that it is that time for people to step up. And if you don't step up, life is just going to be very, very hard, you
Yeah.
know? And life is a gift. It's not a privilege. It's not a guarantee to anybody. And I know that to be
Yeah.
true, particularly how hard it was to have my girls. But what I do find is that people really need to start waking up, especially with the
Yeah.
whole digital ID thing that's going to be rolled out, because that is like absolutely
Yeah.
car crash for humanity.
And I think so, and I'm 100% with you on that topic as well. And I think, bringing it back to awareness and intuition is that the more we can get people to step into that space of awareness and intuition, the more they can kind of see what's happening around them. So
Mm,
essentially, the more people we can get connected to that inner voice and connected to self-awareness, the more the outside will start falling apart, right? The more they'll
mhm,
see the truth on the outside. And that's
mhm.
when we can make changes. So,
Okay.
you might be in a different country and you might not be experiencing the digital ID yet, the control that they want to put on you. but you can use awareness and intuition and start at home, and you can start changing your own life, and then you can start, that will ripple out and it will affect the way you raise your kids and the way you teach them, so which schools you put them in. You know, I took both my girls have been taken out of school. We took them to do their cert two in general education, and then I pulled them out of the system because the system wasn't designed for them. The system was teaching them outdated stuff, and it was disconnecting them from their truth. So I know the journey that you're walking, and obviously you've got two little ones, so you're going to go down this track, and they're going to have a very different experience themselves as well. So I you know what I'm going to say? People go and buy Sonja's book and then read about her fertility journey, because I don't think this conversation is going to go down that road today. I want to stay with the intuition. I want to stay with how we can empower ourselves. How can
Mm-hmm.
we, maybe let's tap into the resilience part. Like, how can people build resilience? How would you, if somebody is struggling with, with life, just with
Mm-hmm.
stuff, relationships and life, how can they build resilience? What tools and techniques do you have? What advice do you have for people to help them build resilience?
Great question. And I get asked this a lot, and my answer is you need to sit in the shit and you need to figure out how to just because like as a human being, we'll always have issues in life, but it's how we deal with those. And we need to obviously look at all of these things that happen in life to ask its bigger question, like what's the universe trying to show me? Why is life so hard? Because you're not paying attention. So what we need to do in terms of building resilience is that these tough times are sent to you to shape you into the person that you're meant to become. And the
Mm,
first time when we go through tough times, our instinct is like, oh, we want to run from the war zone, we want to run from the pain. But the reality is that is not how life works. We can't get through life just tracing all the positives and the highs in life. We need to embrace the lows as well, because that's part of the human experience. And in the darkness is where you often hear like people hitting rock bottom, and that's where their whole life changed. Sometimes these moments that are sent to you that will knock you for six, it's because you haven't paid attention the whole way up along. Like you've literally probably given away your power to everyone in the government, everyone in society, everyone on social media. Really doesn't actually matter. The only opinion that you have is the opinion you have of yourself. And when we talk about like building resilience in kids, you know, we can't obviously be there for all of our kids and what they need, but we need to be able to hold space to allow them to experience the full range of emotions, and that it is okay to have yucky feelings, but they do
yeah.
pass. But we also need to learn how to what to do with these not so nice experiences in life, because they
Mm,
actually really shape our character and they build character and they make you be the best person that you're here to be. But at the same time, I would also explain like resilience is that it's like taking your brain to the gym. Like the
mm,
more shit times you go through, the more that everything just rubs off you like a duck, like rubs off your back like the water off duck's back. That's the reality, because the more that you go through, the more you grow through. You know what I mean? Like you just become a different person. And with resilience, you often hear of a lot of people that have been through really dark times, but the one thing what I do would like to invite people to think is, where in your life are you being a victim and where in your
mm,
life are you being a victor? Because reality, universally, it doesn't respond to victims. The universe responds to victors.
mm,
And when we're being a victim and poor me, that is very low vibe, low frequency, where the universe can't match that energy. So you need to raise a frequency and ask bigger questions about what life is trying to show you, because that's how you
mm.
evolve into being the person you're here to be. Be a student
Yeah,
of life. Don't just take everything as face value. Don't trust what anyone says. Do your own research.
yeah,
That is what I would say.
yeah, absolutely.
Mm,
And when you're on this journey, when you're talking about raising your vibration, for people who don't understand that, essentially it is bringing awareness into what's happening for you in the moment, and
mhm,
then turning that around into something that you want. So if, for instance, you have negative thoughts during the day, and you have, that's kind of your programming. How you raise your vibration out of that is to bring awareness to those negative thoughts. And then when those negative thoughts come in, you reframe them and go, well, I choose to not think those thoughts anymore. This is now what I'm going to think. And by taking the action, you then raise your vibration and you can come out. And as you come out, that's how you build resilience. So yeah, amazing. So I want to switch gears just a little bit and kind of
Mm.
talk about a little bit about the Search Republic, and your business and how you help, big brands. But I want to bring it down to the entrepreneur, to the healer and the leaders and the coaches that are coming up now. What advice have you got for them? How can you help them build a brand and get out there?
So that's a multifaceted question. So I'll
I
answer it in
know
a few
that's a
parts.
big question.
You're fine.
Start
So
small.
I'll answer it in a few pieces. So the Search Republic is my agency. So we help businesses be found on Google for the problems that they solve. Now the agency is thriving. It runs without me. I have an amazing team. There's 15 of us in total. And in all honesty, running an agency is, and being an agency land, marketing agency land is one of the hardest roles you can actually do. And it's improving as well, that like it's one of the top hardest industries you can be a part of. So that builds resilience in itself, doesn't
It does,
it?
yeah.
But with regards to anyone that's climbing through the ranks, I know because I speak massively about my business journey in my book and how I've actually had to overcome a lot of limiting beliefs and all the work that I've done. But at the same time, my only regret is I never started my business sooner because I just doubted myself for so long. And realistically,
Yeah.
if I had done my work a bit sooner in myself, I probably would have been a lot further. But at the same time, there's no accidents. But anyone that's
Yeah.
starting out, my biggest advice would be just trust your journey, keep taking the steps, don't give up, and don't care about what people think of you because they don't
Mm.
really care about you. That's just what you think. That's what you're conditioned to believe, is that everybody else's opinion is more important than the opinion of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, just learn to become your own best friend in the process. Put yourself out there, even when it's uncomfortable. It's all fear. Because remember, if we're talking about putting ourselves out there in school, we're conditioned to believe that it's bad to stand out. You have to wear a uniform and you can't interrupt the teacher and you can't speak out of turn, all these things. So that's very much ingrained in us since we're kids. And in
Mm.
which case, starting a business and growing, it's very against what we're taught and how we're conditioned as a generation. So
Mm.
it's very, very important to know that that is going to come up. You're going to be met with your conditioning, but at the same time, that's not about you at all. The collective field of every person that starts a business feels the exact same way and they go through the exact same things. But
Mm.
in order to feel more comfortable on the journey is just keep embracing the tough times and keep embracing, oh, what's this part of the business trying to show me? I'm trying to take this action. Or I remember my first Facebook Live. My God, I cried like, at the thought of having to do a Facebook Live.
Yeah.
Oh, this is only 2021, it's only 4 years ago. And
Mm.
like, but 4.5 years ago, I remember I was like literally having a full on panic attack, and after that, I did the live and everyone's like, oh my God, it's amazing. Thanks so much for talking about that. And then I was like, then my ego then straight away told me, oh my God, see, you're amazing. You can do it. It's like this person, this voice in your head can either be your friend or your foe. And they
Mm.
TikTok and they like sometimes you feel great and other times it's just yeah. But anyway, don't even turn on your negative Nancy in your head. Just forget about her because doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
But over time, the more you embrace those challenges, you you'll just not pay any attention to the voice in your head. And also I would say is that anyone starting out in their business journeys, don't tell people around you that you know very intimately about what you're doing because remember they're always going to try and protect you. Because that's their own limiting beliefs in they love you so
Yeah.
much they don't want you to fail. You just need to not tell anybody what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like
It's
even it's a real challenge and it's a real issue because don't take advice from anybody not qualified to give it.
yeah. It's two things that I want to just quickly jump in there is that, first of all, I believe that the entrepreneurial journey is one of the hardest spiritual journeys that you'll ever take.
It's a
It's
spiritual
if you
journey.
think
It
you're
is.
building a business, man,
Yeah.
you're going to go into the depths of your soul and you're going to look at mindset and limiting beliefs and childhood traumas. It is not for the faint-hearted.
Yeah.
And then what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, it's gone out of my head now. I can't remember. But yeah, if
Trust
you,
your journey.
hey.
Trust your journey.
Well, yeah, absolutely trust your journey. I mean, if you are trying to be an entrepreneur, you're trying to build a business and you're not trusting your intuition, your inner, that's going to be a harder journey. So, yeah, there was something else. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, so please go
Family
ahead.
and not sharing your ideas with your family too prematurely, because I do think that's a
Oh,
like, and
that's
this is a
yeah,
classic example. That's probably
yeah,
what you
yeah.
were.
That
Yeah.
was that was what I was going to say is find a network of people who are going through the same journey as you that you can kind of, you can kind of build together because often, like you said, when we share it with people around us, they have their limiting beliefs and I think back for myself and I understand why my dad said this, but way back when we weren't even in like I think it was 2005, maybe
Mm-hmm.
2004, 2005, I was looking at studying aromatherapy and reflexology. And I went to my dad for advice. And my dad said to me back then, he said, nobody knows what this is. You won't have a successful business. And I understand where he's coming from, but that just shows, what Sonia was talking about. And it is if you share it with your friends and family, they're going to give their limiting beliefs and their programming is going to come along with the conversation. And it's going to stop you
Mm-hmm.
from stepping into your truth. One of the first things that I did when I arrived in Australia was reflexology
Mm.
because I still had that pull. I still had, my soul was still saying, step into that. And then obviously everything evolved over the years. But yeah, totally, totally understand where you're coming from. Find the right support system.
It's everything, honestly. Like, even my book before it went to print, my sister was like, "Oh, I'm surprised you didn't ask me to read your book before it went to print." I'm like, "My love, I couldn't let you or even Kevin read my book, because I'm like, I'm completely okay with what's in that book and
Yeah.
my intentions are pure, but I don't need your opinion." And she was like, "Oh, that's a bit interesting." She probably got taken aback by it, but I'm like, that's something that I learned very early on from Tony Robbins. You never share what you're working on with anyone,
Mm.
because it's just not ready to be shared, and that can
Yeah.
stifle your creativity and your motivation as well. So, yeah,
Mm.
so Kevin, my husband, hadn't even read the book before it went to print. So my whole family just had to trust that my intentions
Yeah.
were pure and I didn't need their opinions.
Yeah. Beautiful. I did the same
Yeah.
with my book. I just wrote it
Mm,
and put it out there. And if you're going
love
to
it.
read it, family and friends are going to read it, they're going to read it. So, yeah,
Exactly.
beautiful. Do you have any further advice around perhaps, let's say, somebody who is just got their website for the first time?
Hmm.
Can you perhaps just give a little bit of gold nuggets to help new entrepreneurs get their websites and their business out there a little
Absolutely.
bit more?
Firstly, don't build your website yourself, because firstly, you're not qualified to build a website. Secondly, you can build a website, but you'll build a website that's not going to work, and you'll ultimately have to rebuild the website and set that up for success eventually. So you might as well just focus on what your zone of genius is.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, building a website, our preferred content management system by Google is WordPress. So that's what I would suggest. If you're an ecom brand, you could do Shopify or WooCom on WordPress as well. But most websites that come to me from clients say, we want you to look after our Google ads or SEO or all those things. You know, 90% of cases, we actually have to do website development work to the website before we can switch on ads, because the websites were never set up to convert.
Mm.
And in which case, when I talk about conversion points, I'm talking about like right hand corner, phone call, email inquiry, contact button. And then on the left hand, like your social media icons where they can learn more about you. The reality is that the user journey behavior that happens on a website, we tend to think that websites are just, okay, we'll just build a website and traffic will come. That's not the truth. A website is like a built website is like having a built home, but then you obviously have to get the home decorated and do everything else in the interior. Like having a home is like a shell, right? When it's not
Yeah.
doesn't decorate in the inside. Same with a website. You're building a website, it's a shell. In order to optimize the website and let Google know you're open for business, you need to optimize it for what Google actually wants. Now, if you
Mm,
build your website from scratch yourself, you definitely are going to miss all of those marks. However, if you build a website with somebody that's an expert in SEO, we know what needs to set up from the start to set it up to succeed. However, ongoing optimization to your website is SEO, ongoing SEO, because like Google changes the rules 5,000 times a year. So our
mm,
job of myself and my team is to keep up with all those changes to make sure our clients' websites don't get hit with those algorithm changes. And in all honesty, it's an unregulated industry, and there's a lot of people that will tell you a lot of things just to get your money. But I'm a firm believer that reputation trumps everything. So, you know, I turn clients away all the time with clients I know I can't help.
mm,
It's just so important to think of like Google as you're building a relationship. So you're like dating Google, in which case you kind of need to play the game, but at the same
mm,
time over time, Google will trust you, and over time, you'll get your forever after, but you need to follow the rules in order to do that. No cheating, meaning that no outsourcing to companies in India that do black hat SEO because you want to climb the top of Google. You're just going to be, your website will be penalized, and it's just a disaster to come back from. Um,
mm,
but determining what campaign is right for your business, it's best to kind of figure out, okay, what are my actual goals first?
mm,
So if the goals are more bums on seats, Google Ads is the best way to do that. However, if it's SEO, um, long-term strategy, if you can afford to do SEO and Google Ads, that is utopia, because that's dominating the search result. But again, Google isn't the answer for every single industry either. Like coaching,
mm.
coaches, it's not really Google Ads is not the right platform for that.
Yeah.
However, long-term growth, organic, yes, absolutely. Um, so yeah, so that's given you a lot to think about.
Yeah, there's a lot there, and you also go through quite a few things in your book.
Mhm.
So again, I'd
I have a
encourage.
Google Ads and SEO checklist as well that you can include in the show notes if you want.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. I'll
Yeah,
grab the link and everything from you,
yeah,
and we can
absolutely.
share it with people. Yeah, that will be beautiful. Now, I am, excuse me, I am mindful of our time.
Yeah,
The time's actually flown so quickly. There's so much more that we can talk about.
I know.
Um, But I wanted to ask you, what is something that you feel is really important for the audience to know, whether it's on a personal level or business level, it doesn't matter. But what's something that's coming to mind now that you really think that people should know? And yeah, please share it with them.
Oh, big question. There's a lot that people should know. Um, I think if you're in the depths of despair and you're afraid to take the first step towards healing the trauma, just know that that's your ego and that's not reality. And in which case, that if we want peace on earth and we want everything to be all happy, rosy in the garden, it starts with ourselves. So the
Mm,
more that you can own your shit and actually do the work, the deep soul inner work,
mm,
the more that it ripples outwards onto your community and your family. And that actually inspires people to want to actually do the work on themselves. And that is where we could become this collective team because, we are all one in this universe. Everyone on this
mm,
planet, we're all the same. We are all part of the same team. And there's a lot of changes happening in the world, but they're all out there designed to separate people because when we're
mm.
separated, we can't be controlled. We can be controlled, but when we're come together, we can't.
Come together, we
So
can't.
I just feel like we're in a very, very interesting time, the age of Aquarius, which is a time calling for mass awakening, which basically means, in layman's terms, you need to do the work, do your work at home, do your inner soul work,
Yeah.
because that is how you're going to be able to help everyone in your family in the collective fields that glues us all together.
Yeah, beautiful. Totally agree. There is. there's too much divide out there, and like you said, the more we divided, the more we are controlled, and the more we
Yeah.
wake up and step into our own power and then come together, the less we can be controlled, and the more we can create a world that is beautiful, that is peaceful, that's calm, that's supportive, that's loving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and it all starts at home. It starts with us
Mm-hmm.
doing the inner work. So yeah, thank you for that powerful thought. I
You're so
really appreciate
welcome.
it.
No
Yeah,
problem at all. And it was honestly an honor to be here. So thank you for having me.
thank you so much. All right, guys. So go and grab the Search for Resilience. Obviously, you can see it behind Sonja there as well. It's available on Amazon. I think it's Kindle as well and Audible.
And all major bookstores across Australia and New Zealand.
There you go, all major bookstores. And then if you haven't grabbed a copy of Spiritual AI, The Authentic Intelligence, it is not about AI, artificial intelligence, and it's all about awareness and intuition. That's where you start. That's the foundation. So go and grab a copy. It is available on Amazon, Kindle, Audible, and there's a few online stores that have it available as well. So go and have a look, go and ask for it in your local bookstore as well. Let's get the message out there and let's get people connected to their own inner power. Sonja, thank you again so much for the conversation. I feel like we could probably have another conversation in the future sometime. So
I will, no doubt we will, and we'll go down loads more rabbit holes.
absolutely love rabbit holes. All right. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of the Spiritual AI podcast. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Take care.
Thank you.